The redistricting battle continues, and Republicans are winning. Missouri Governor Mike Kehoe has signed the new map into effect after the legislature there in Missouri approved it. Here is what it did. It's a huge pickup for Republicans. What you see, essentially, it made Missouri District 2, who already has a Republican, Anna Wagner. It was likely Republican. Now it is safe Republican. So that's a good pickup. But then, of course, the bigger pickup is Missouri District 5, which was Emanuel Cleaver, who's a Democrat, went all the way from safe Democrat to safe Republican, which is huge. And here is how they did it. This is the map. You can see the 2024 map versus now the map. And essentially, if you look at the far left of the map, that's Kansas City. It kind of had this weird Idaho shape. Frankly, I think the map looks crazier in 2024 than 2026, honestly. But what they've basically done is taken that and split it into what you see as the new 5th district on the right. And then a little bit of it on the north goes to 6. A little bit on the south goes to 4. And so that way you're able to split it up. And then on the far right, that little blue dot, they didn't mess with that. That is St. Louis. It is solid blue. They could have split it, presumably, into like a little bit of 3, a little bit of 2, a little bit of 8 maybe, but they didn't. And I think the reason why is because they didn't want the lawsuits on that one. So this is a pickup for Republicans, also making one even more safe for them, which is good. And this could have real consequences because if you look at the current House of Representatives as it stands, it is 219 to 213, right, for Republicans, which is really, really tight. That only gives you 6. There's some people who don't even show up for the votes. So with Texas now picking up 5 redistricted seats, likely for Republicans, obviously we don't know until the election happens, but likely that's what it's going to be. And then Missouri with this one, that would change the House to 225 to 207. So that's a massive pickup. That's a really good gain for Republicans. That's actually, that's a majority that you can actually work with, as opposed to being freaked out that 5 people just aren't going to show up and then you can't even win. It also gives you wiggle room in the midterms if you lose some, which historically always happens. In fact, it always flips. This time might be different. We'll see. Obviously, Democrats haven't been able to find their footing since losing in 2024. The only thing at this point, because the legislature has approved it and the governor of Missouri has signed it, the only thing that could change that is lawsuits. A court strike down is really unlikely, in my opinion, because there are essentially 2 schools of thoughts when it comes to redistricting. You can either keep cities kind of in their own areas, and you can keep rural areas in their own areas. That's a kind of an accepted redistricting philosophy. Or what you can also do is you can balance out the districts, right? You can say, hey, a little bit of rural and city is going to be together. And that's essentially what Missouri has changed to. Both are accepted redistricting strategies. Those are philosophies that the courts, essentially all you have to do is prove that's what you're doing, and it's really hard for the courts to strike that down. It seems to me not messing with St. Louis was a very smart tactical decision on the part of Republicans. Like if they wanted to try this again, independent of what they've done in Kansas City, that could be wise, but they didn't want to jeopardize what they knew was already a sure thing with Kansas City. I think that's very smart. I just don't see it being struck down. This is a gain for Republicans. And because it's safe Republican now, it's a sure thing. It really is. It's not like, I think there's one of the districts that was redistricted in Texas. It went from like lean left to lean right. This is like plus 15 for Trump in 2024. They're not going to have any problems. Again, if you look at the map, it's quite reasonable what they've done. Missouri is not the only place, by the way, with pickups right now, and Texas as well. Right now, the race for New Jersey governor is really heating up. If you look at the polls right now, what you can see is that Mikey Sherrill has 48%, as opposed to Jack Ciattarelli at 46%. And again, you're looking at a fairly deep blue state historically, and Jack Ciattarelli's down by 2, but the thing is, as you can see at the top, the margin of error is 3.3%. So statistically, they're in a dead heat. Another poll, that's not the only poll that came out, another poll, this is unaffiliated with Valcor for Save New Jersey. I apologize, this one is not unaffiliated. This is our leaning. You can see that Mikey Sherrill only has a 2% lead on this one either. And there is still 7% that are unsure. Now, those 7% probably won't show up to the polling. It could happen, it could not. But in any case, because the margin of error is usually 2 to 3, even 4% sometimes, statistically, this is a dead heat right now. And this is not super confusing, considering the fact that the Democrat candidate is really quite horrible. Mikey Sherrill is not good. Just to get an idea of who she is, how radical she is, she was in a debate with other Democrats, openly said that parents should not have the right to opt their kids out of LGBTQ propaganda in schools? Take a look.
Should parents have the right to opt their kids out of LGBTQ-related content in the same way that right now they can be removed from sex ed and health curriculum classes?
Look, I believe that parents have the right to oversee their children's education. I would push in LGBTQ education into our schools. Parents have a right to opt out of a lot of things, but this is not an area where they should be opting out, because this is an area of understanding the background of people throughout our nation. And right now we see, for example, at the Naval Academy, an erasure of history.
So even though it's a blue state, I'm frankly shocked she even has as much support as she has. I think this is just a horrible take from her, and I don't think that even most Democrats really support this at all. If I were Jack, I've said this on the show before, I would play that clip every single day, nonstop, till the election in New Jersey, on cable, on alternative media, all over, because again, most people, independents and Democrats, and of course Republicans, are going to see that and be like, we don't want that. Gun to my head, I would say Mikey Sherrill probably has a slight edge right now. Real Clear Politics, you can see right here, says she's about 5% up on average. But just to be clear, New Jersey was considered deep blue not too long ago. So even if she wins, but she only wins by 2%, that shows a real momentum change for the GOP in New Jersey. It is getting into purple territory right now, which is just a huge pickup, I really think. I mean, I think Republicans need to look at this as a long game. That's what Democrats do. You can look at one election and be like, dang, we lost, we were so close. But look at what it's done over the last 16 years. If you see momentum and you see the shift, keep going, because it's only a matter of time before it turns purple, which might be this election. And then the next election, it might be barely lean left. And then next election, it might be barely lean right. And I think this underscores a huge improvement the GOP has made in general. You remember that Ronna McDaniel was the chair of the GOP after Trump won, and she lost every single election that she was in there. She was horrible. Since then, she's been fired, which is really good, replaced by Joe Grutters and Casey Crosby. They've done a very good job. They've been way more effective. They understand that just because it's not the midterms or a presidential election year, the elections that are happening this year in 2025 are still really, really important. The progressive left is a cult, guys. I talk all about it in my book, A New Cult. Go check it out right now. I talk about some crazy, wild stuff that Democrats and the left have done over the past few years that a lot of people are not talking about. The link is in the description below. Thank you so much for watching this video, everybody. Please like the video so other great patriots like yourselves will see it, and you can tune in every single weekday at 6 p.m. Eastern for the live show, or you can watch another video right here.